Good evening, gentlemen. I'm going to talk to you about a very important topic. I'm going to talk to you about the latest battle between Iran and Israel, and I'm going to give you the military assessment based on the principles of war as laid down by the great General Clausewitz. You all know about it. Clausewitz had enunciated 10 principles of war, and I will keep these principles in mind, and you can see them on the screen, what the principles are for your knowledge. And this battle between, or rather, I will say skirmish between Israel and Iran, I will assess in that light. Firstly, as you know, the battle started when the Israelis came to know by the intelligence that the Iranian leadership, that is top general of the Revolutionary Guard, were in an embassy, I think in a room close to the embassy, and they were planning their activities, how to attack Israel. They didn't know a thing about it till the Israelis hit them with precision bombing and attack, and unfortunately, these good generals, all of them died. Now, that was the start. Israel had achieved a great victory, I will say, in that, to have decimated the top leadership, the top generals, and Iran had to react. See, the situation was such in the Middle East that Iran had been talking a lot against Israel for so many years, and now when they had lost their top generals, they had to react. They had to do something, and they were thinking what to do. And they wanted to do something which would be spectacular in the sense the world sits and says, "Ah, Baba, this is something which has been done." Well, the Israelis had support. They had support from Jordan, they had support from the British, the RAF, and the American Air Force. And they were all placing their guns ready for what's going to happen next. So Israelis decided to launch drones, rockets, and ICBMs to decimate Israel. But they took care, I will tell you, to attack only the military targets, and they didn't want to create damage in the civilian areas. That was the plan. But perhaps they overestimated their strength. They thought 313 missiles is a very big thing. It'll go and create havoc in Israel. Unfortunately, nothing happened. All the 313 missiles were shot down. The drones, the rockets, the ICBMs became a big zero. And I think this is what has hurt the Iranian prestige in the world. You couldn't even get a single missile. I think one got through and went and fell in some ditch or something. I saw a photograph of that missile. But the fact remains the Iranian attack was an abject failure. Why it was a failure? The intelligence was poor, their professionalism was questionable, and they hadn't planned their attack properly. There's no proper planning, no administration. I don't think. You just don't launch missiles, just have the heck of it thinking that they're going to go through. You should know what is the strength of the enemy. They hadn't anticipated what is the strength of the enemy at all. And that is a very big drawback in the Iranian military. I mean, I think it must be a bit of a disgrace that if you launch 313 missiles and none get through, even one doesn't go through. No damage was caused in Israel, but Israel had to react, and the Iranians were wondering and bracing up for an attack. The Iranian parliament, of course, had a great celebration after the attack, but later on, I think they must have sobered down and realized that bloody hell, we achieved nothing. All of missiles and drones got shot down. It's not a big credit at all. It reflects very poorly on the Iranian armed forces. Now let's say what Israel did. Now the Americans, with the biggest backers of Israel, were not interested in attacking Iran at all. No, we don't want to attack. Why? Because they're embroiled in Ukraine and trying to defeat Russia, and there's a big danger in the South Pacific, in the East Pacific, and they don't know what to do. China is blowing hot and cold on Formosa, and the Philippines are being threatened, so America has to keep its guard up there. So they didn't want to get entangled with Iran. I mean, it's a moot point that Iran ultimately is going to be a bigger danger, but at that time they advised Israel, you won a great victory, don't relax, don't attack Iran. But the Israelis had to attack, and they did. And they selected a city in central Iran, not a city on the seashore or something which could reach. They attacked a city in the heart of Iran, that is Isfahan. And this is a great tribute to Israeli intelligence and their military professionalism. The attack was carried out by the F-16s, and they launched some drones also, and there were explosions heard in the city all over, but they did not attack the Iranian nuclear assets. I think it was a deliberate attempt just to show the power of the Israelis, and also because the Americans were sitting at the back, and leading them in. Don't do it, don't do it. Anyway, everything was safely done. All the planes returned, and Iran couldn't do anything despite the air defense system given by the Russians, which was there. I don't know how they couldn't shoot down a single F-16, and the net result is that the Iranians don't have much of a face to show. Now just imagine, Iran launches the attack, 313 missiles, a big zero, and now the Israelis attack and they are successful. So Israeli intelligence was good. They knew everything. In fact, I was been told that when the Iranian missiles took off, the headquarters in England and the United States and Israel in real time came to know about it. And there's something called Operational Readiness Platform in the Air Force called ORP. These had already been activated and they were ready for these missiles. And all of them were shot down. I think Iran never knew when the attack will come. Their defenses were poor, that is as far as the Israeli attack is concerned. Their defenses were poor, and I think their professionalism was lacking. And they couldn't shoot down a single F-16. Now F-16, I can tell you, a wonderful fighter. It's a plane which is the best fighter in the world. I think maybe the F-35 is better, but F-16s are bloody good. And they were the ones which bore the brunt of the attack on Iran. Now, what is Iran going to do next? I think Iran is going to attack Israel as a revenge. But probably they won't launch any more rockets and missiles because they don't get through. So they will attack through Hezbollah and the other terrorist organization, Hamas. But the Iranian leadership, I don't know what's going in their mind. They must remember that when you get into bed with terrorists, then you are apt to be at their mercy. And the terrorists never know when they're going to turn against you. They just turn and say, bye-bye, your old friendship is over. So Hamas has been facing a tough time somehow. I think their top leadership is decimated and only top and little. It's terrorist organization in the real sense. It's taken some hostages and is bargaining on those hostages. I don't think any chivalrous person will take hostages and bargain on them. The very fact that they are bargaining on those hostages is a sign that they are an absolute terrorist organization and must be decimated. Iran may be supporting them, but I think Hamas is on the last legs. As far as Hezbollah is concerned, they've been raining rockets on Israel, and some of their leaders have been killed, and they're going to have a tough time ahead. As far as Iran is concerned, they'll have to think twice, because many of the Middle East countries are not with Iran, in particular Jordan, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, I think, and Egypt. They're not with them. And who is with them? I think nobody other than maybe Turkey. But Turkey also has to think twice, because some of the planes which took off for this attack to stop the missiles of Iran took off from Turkey, the Idris base, and some took off from the RAF base in Cyprus. And then there was also the Jordanian Air Force which was taking part. And I think Iran would remember that all the Islamic states are not with them. So, gentlemen, everything is in a cauldron, and we have to wait for the next step. And I think the next step is going to be very decisive, because we don't know what Iran is planning. It doesn't have any nuclear bomb at the moment, but recently the president of Iran made a visit to Pakistan. Now, he went to Pakistan. And the Pakistanis are now getting worried because probably, it's my assessment, may not be true, that he went there to ask for some nuclear know-how. And in return, he had said that probably we'll give you billions of dollars because the Pakistan economy is in doldrums. But America has given a threat to Pakistan, and I don't think Pakistan is going to give any nuclear secrets to Iran. So that is the purpose of the Iranian visit. And because the Iranian president, I think, knows that Iran doesn't have the technical capability, even if they have a nuclear bomb ready, to launch it. That's very important. You must have the delivery system. I don't think Iranians have got it. And the best part of the whole thing is that Iran probably would have realized by now that everything is not rhetoric. Rhetoric is you keep shouting, we'll do this, we'll do that, but the end result is a big zero. They have been able to do nothing. And even Hezbollah has achieved nothing. Hamas is on its last legs, despite all the support. And the Yemenis, I don't think have any strength left, The Americans have been bombing them. In Iraq, the Revolutionary Guard, which is in position there, has been bombed by the Americans. And I think I was reading the other day that from Syria, some of the Iranian troops are going to be removed. And first question is why these troops are doing there in Iran and Iraq. Because if the idea they're going to fight Israel or something is out of question, I don't think they have the professional competence. And they're going to survive in case in a battle. It will be the same case as to what happened to the famous presidential guard of Saddam Hussein. You remember they were supposed to be very formidable. And everybody was talking about the professionalism of the guard. But when the battle took place and the Iranians, when the Americans and the French and the British moved in, what did the guard do? Hands up, give up. They were all shot, some of them captured. They never put up a fight anyway. And the same thing had happened in 92. This guard did nothing. And then the sanctions were put on Saddam Hussein. I think he would have been a little more sensible and he would have survived. Now, gentlemen, the situation is that Iran has antagonized the Americans, and despite the problem which they have got, Americans, you mustn't forget that they're the biggest power in the world. And they're so far backing Israel. I don't think they leave Israel. And Israel's got a really professional force. And this has come out in the present conflict. And Iran have to think twice before they do anything further. Gentlemen, I'll close now. As for the principles of war, the Iranian performance has been poor. The Israelis are the winners. If you like my video, please share it with your friends. Subscribe and come back for more. In the meanwhile, I'll say God bless. Look after yourself.